wonderful tutor of the Cake Makery. On today's Ask Lou, I'm going to show you how to make this cute little Santa. For this Santa you'll need ordinary sugar paste in red, white, some flesh colour for his face and hands, and some black for his shoes. You'll need some basic tools, a palette knife and an ordinary knife, a pair of scissors, a black food pen for his eyes, a cocktail stick, a paintbrush and a bit of Tylo glue. Take your red sugar paste and roll it into a ball. You can use a little Tylo powder added to sugar paste to make a slightly firmer paste, which may make it slightly easier to modelling if you're new to this. Roll it to a fat cone and squash it so that it makes a fat triangle. Now take a knife or palette knife and cut down between his legs. Just round off the edges of that cut so that it doesn't look so cut, and pinch out the bottom so that it makes the bottom of his feet flat. Then take your scissors and cut into the side for each arm. And again, work the paste with your fingers to soften those cut edges and ease out the arm, making the end of it stubby. Smooth it around the edges. It doesn't really matter, he's a Santa with character, so don't worry about it being perfect. And his hips look enormous at the moment, but we have to remember that we have a white band going round his coat, and this will fill up that gap that at the moment looks like a very small waistline in here. So having got your basic shape, you then want to go to your white sugar paste and create that long sausage to go around his middle. So literally just roll out a piece of paste. Because this is soft while you're working with it, it will probably stick to itself, but if you have any difficulty, just a little bit of Tylo glue to secure it. And simply go round his middle and wrap it to the back. Pinch off any excess and just press that together at the back. And that creates the bottom of his coat. Now we want to do the same on the ends of his trousers and his sleeves. For this we create a ball each time, which we cut in half to get two equal sized pieces. So this is for his sleeves. I've created one ball, cut it in half, roll each of those to smaller balls and squash them flat. Then, making sure you've got the flat end to his arms, put a little glue onto your white paste so that this can just press onto the end of the sleeve, one on each side. Having done this, we want to use the cocktail stick or any pointy tool to just make a hole up underneath that. This is where his hand is going to push in, and this will help to secure it and make sure it stays put where you want it to. So just pop those in at this stage. Now we repeat the process for his feet, creating a ball which we cut in half, make two balls to squash, make sure they're the right sort of shape to fit his feet, and then do the same thing again with a little bit of glue onto those. Make sure they're released from my board, and then pop them onto his feet, onto his trousers. Oops. There we go. Now for his beard, we need to position that and fix it in place first of all, because his head is actually held on by his beard. So we start off by making a sort of pointed teardrop shape, which we need to press out so that it's going to go over the top of his shoulders and create all of that area around his neck and cover up the join for us. And when you've got a rough idea of the shape, go back with your cocktail stick and just break this down so that you get that shaggy beard look. Create some lines in there just to make it look like good old Father Christmas. And then put a bit of glue onto the top of your body base and simply position his beard over the top. Once you've got it in position, you can carry on with this hair all round the back, which is going to almost look like part of his hat when it's complete. Use the same process as before on his arms and create a hole down the centre, which is going to secure his head. Now we want to take some flesh coloured paste and create a ball for his head and make this ball into a pointed cone. So we've got a point to go down into that hole. I'll put a bit of glue in here just for some added strength. Make that quite a narrow point and pop it down inside there. Push it well in, and that creates his head shape. So now we need to create his moustache. You need to take a small amount of the white paste and put a bit of glue onto the front of his face, and then literally press on this little sausage shape. And we're going to use the cocktail stick to work into this to create the mouth. Just wiggle around until you get back to that flesh colour on the inside, and then break it down to join up with the rest of his beard, bringing it round his chin to the sides, just making it look like hair by breaking it down. And give him curly bits at the top if you want to. We'll go back to his mouth to make sure that he's got the right expression later on, but that's the beginnings of his face. And then he just needs a nose, so a bit more of the flesh colour. Roll it into a ball and roll it into a teardrop shape. And again, do the same process as before. If you make holes for any of these things, they're just going to stay put more securely. A little bit of glue into that hole. They're not going to fall off when your cake gets brought out to put on display. Put his nose in there. Now we need to create his hands, so we want a little bit of our flesh coloured paste again. Roll it into a ball and cut it in half so that you get 2 equal hands. Roll one half of your ball and make it into a slight teardrop shape. I've decided that's too big, so I'm going to take a little bit off there and roll my 2 hands again together. So start with one ball again to make sure that they're an equal size. Always start from the same singular ball, cut in half. So now I'm going to roll my teardrop and then press out the teardrop slightly, and I'm just going to create the impression of a thumb. So just push your knife in, it's a bit like a mitten, just to create the thumb shape, and repeat the process for the other one. I think he's still going to have quite big hands. Remember that the thumb on the other side is obviously opposing the other one. And then this little pointed bit is going to go into that space you created at the bottom of his arms. So put a little bit of glue into that hole, and you can push the hand up inside. Maybe it's not so big. Oops. And they should stay in nice and easily because of that hole holding plenty of glue to keep it in place. So that's the hands. Now we need to do his shoes. We need a little bit of black paste for this, and I work with the same process again of creating a ball to get 2 equal sizes from. So take your ball, cut it in half, and roll each of those to a ball which is simply flattened out to an elongated oval for his shoe shape. We just need a little bit of glue on the surface there, and that'll fit underneath. It's a good idea to do this and make sure that he's settling well on his feet, so that when you actually put him on your cake he's definitely going to stay upright and not topple over backwards. You want to make sure his centre of balance is in the right place to keep him secure. Now he needs a hat, so we go back to the white paste and we want to make a flat circle that's going to go right over the top of his head. You'll be surprised how much paste you actually need to get sufficient size to go all the way over his head and down the back. You actually want to completely cover the join at the back. So just try it out on his head and see if you're going in the right direction, and you'll find you'll need to push it over your finger to be able to create that cup shape to go over his head. Use a little glue if the paste is drying off, but mostly it's fairly moist paste while you're working with it. It should stick to itself. And then just ease it around and fit it in. And it's a good idea, if you've got the time, to go back into this sort of thing and break it up a little bit to create that look of Santa's fluff around his hat. And you can bring it into the white paste that you put on his shoulders so that it all joins up together, looking like one cohesive centre. When you've got the white base on there, we're almost going to create a similar shape to the inside of a red cone for his hat. So make a cone shape and then squash it down and push your finger up underneath, bringing the edges down so that this is cupping in. This is going to be his head. This needs to cup over the top of his head, so you need to thin this out quite a bit to be able to bring it round his head. Work out how pointy you want it. This one almost looks like Santa's becoming a witch. Squash it down a little bit and then glue onto the top of your Santa's head and position that over the top. Make sure it's looking as you want it to. And at this stage, if you're going to have some curl or something to his hat, you need to put that in now, because once it's dried you won't be able to do that again. So decide what position you want his point to be and take a tiny amount of white paste, create a ball, and using the same process as before, but it's almost round the other way, make the hole into the little ball to go on the top of the red hat. So my hole is here. I'll put my glue into this little hole and then that will fit onto the top of my pointed red hat. And that gives him his nice red bobble. And then all he's missing is some expression. So we go back in with a black food pen and give him some funny eyes. So we put in 2 little dots and then a bit of eyebrow expression. And then just have a check of the face so that you can see whether he's got a smile or not. Open his mouth up a bit. Make him look a bit more like a happy Santa. And there we go. There's our Santa.